So many paths I've been upon, they all lead me to the one I love. She gives me strength to move my feet and songs to fill this heart with a nectar sweet. Her face I see, Mother divine, from you we're born. We see your face in every morn so bright, and in each and every night. And when corner shadows rise, darkened visions meet our eyes, even there you smile. You're with us all the while, on rainy days, in springtime's haze, in valleys deep, on mountains steep with snow. While all things grow on ocean shore, in fathoms deep, in every place that one does meet, you go. Above and below, you keep me on this dusty road, joy by grace and love untold, so sweet. You carry every load. In hardest times I find you there, hearing words of every prayer I speak. Your presence with me there, wherever place and time I may be, whatever visions I do see from here. And everywhere I pray your face shall greet my eyes, in every place, in every wise right here, with me everywhere, right here.
Good morning, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Because I have an Irish grandmother, or had one, we are going to start with an Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you, may the wind be always at your back, may the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. So, actually, this reminds me of so much of one of the chants from the Upanishads where they're talking about may the winds blow softly, may the cows be peaceful. They all have the same kind of feeling about them. Okay, today the topic is straight as the path or straight as the way. I keep mixing it up. But narrow is the gate, straight is the path, like the sharp edge of a razor. Now that is combining partly a biblical saying and an Upanishadic saying. In the Upanishads, they said the way to cross the razor's edge to reach enlightenment, nothing will. Spiritual discipline is hard. The Bible said that narrow is the gate and straight is the way. Okay, but and because I was raised in the Christian church and adopted Vedanta many years ago, the two seem to intermix in my life. That I see absolutely no conflict. Okay, in Vedanta, we start with why are we here and what is our goal? And according to Vedanta, the goal of life, of everyone's life, is God realization. Now, if we start with that as a premise, which is, according to many, God realization is uncovering the innate divinity within ourselves. We and the divine are one. We come to this conclusion because at some point in everyone's life, I believe, they feel that there's an emptiness in this world, that nothing can completely satisfy us, that nothing on this earth can really make us feel truly loved, truly satisfied, and truly happy. We may not feel it all the time, but we have inklings of this, or we wouldn't look for something beyond this world. That is what I call divine discontent. It's not being unsatisfied with what's in your life, it's that it's just not quite enough. That there's something more to this existence. This divine discontent is what is the impetus that makes us want to open a gate, to find a way past this discontent. And at that point, then we have to look and say, well, what gate are we going to go through? Because there's not just one gate. There's a multitude of gates that you can go through. There's Christianity, there's Islam, there's Buddhism, there's Tao, there's Vaishnavism, there's Vedanta, there's Tantra. There's as many gates as there are people. But we must find, in order to get on the path to God realization, we have to find the gate that speaks to us, that resonates with our heart and our mind. The one that has something that we can stick to for the rest of our lives. When you find that, it has to resonate, though, with your heart and your mind. Because your mind is the only bridge between this world and God realization. That's the bridge across. The path that you decide, that you find a gate, and the path then is the roadmap that's posted beside the gate. It tells you when you choose that path, then you choose that roadmap if you want to reach the goal. And why would we say, well, I'll try this gate, and I'll try this gate, and I'll try this one. You may for a while until you find the one. But then once you find it, follow the roadmap. Follow one. Get a teacher, someone who knows more than you do. We get a teacher for everything in our lives. We get teachers that show us how to, we have them from the time we're 4 or 5. They teach us the alphabet. They teach us how to get on with our lives, how to be successful. So you get a teacher, you study the path that you have chosen. you follow the guidelines set by those who have already gone ahead of you, because they know the way. I mean, how about when you learn to do long division? I don't know if anyone even has to learn it these days. You just get a calculator or your phone and it happens. But when I was in school, you had to learn long division. And, I mean, you didn't just suddenly sit down and go, oh, I'm going to do it. You had to be shown how to do it. So even in religious life, we need a guide. We need a guide. We need a path to follow. And once we have chosen the path we are on, it becomes hard work, discipline, discrimination, all those words that no one wants to really pay attention to, but and renunciation. Oh, the bad word. We don't want to renounce anything. But when you look at it as not renouncing, but choosing something better, like choosing, do I want to have that chocolate cake right now, or do I want to feel better? Which will make me happier and satisfy me in the long run? Do I want to take that walk this morning? But am I going to take that walk? Yes. Because you are doing something to enhance your body, mind, and being. You're not simply satisfying a very, very ephemeral desire. So we get the teacher, we get the path, and we follow it. Now, many years ago, someone told me, this is a little off the subject, but someone told me about a labyrinth that they have out at UCSB on the cliff overlooking the ocean. And I'd always had a curiosity about it. One of the children who was born into Vedanta, as she reached adulthood, started teaching the labyrinth. And she went around all over teaching the labyrinth. This spoke to her. It's not countering any Vedantic teaching either. So a friend took me to the labyrinth, and I looked at it and I thought, okay, I'll try this. And as I walked around, you know how they look. They look like a maze, and you go, and then you go into another quarter and you do it, and then you go into another quarter and you do it, another quarter and you do it, and finally you end up in the center. And I thought, okay, we'll do this mindfully and without, why am I here? In the back of my mind. And as I walked the labyrinth, I thought, what does this remind me of? And all I could think of was, it was like entering the world and starting on your journey. Okay. What I call making karma. And so I got all the way to the center, and I had this unbelievable desire to just jump over the thing and get out. I wanted out, I wanted freedom, I wanted that. And then I thought, no, you have to do this, you have to give yourself to the whole thing since you've committed to it. So I walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. And at the end had an unbelievable feeling of satisfaction that I had completed it and of freedom. So I don't know what the Christian teaching is about walking the labyrinth. I did it as a Vedantist, and that's what I ended up thinking about. Okay, so then we get down to what, when I say my first thought when I entered the labyrinth was, why am I here? Think about why you're here today. What brought all of you here to the Vedanta Temple on St. Patrick's Day, 2024? Is it ran with this specific group of people? Is this a random occurrence? I don't tend to think so. I tend to think that we're all looking for this sense of God realization, this realization of our own divinity, and all of our past actions have brought us here to experience this at this time with the people who are here. We can create a mental labyrinth if we carefully look at our past, not brooding over it and getting emotional and going back to those emotions that were rampant in our lives when we were experiencing things, but to carefully take your mind, put it outside, and look at your entire life. The good things that brought you here, the bad things, or seemingly bad things, that brought you to where you are today. And my own personal feeling is we're all here because we are walking in the same direction. We're all walking towards God realization. We're each taking, at this point, our individual interpretation of that. But the closer we get, the more we identify with the universal consciousness, God. We'll call it God. That's. I know some people don't like that word, but that's what it's generally accepted. We all know what it means. And that is our only purpose, is to find that inside ourselves. That's what we need to do, to be free, happy, blissful. It doesn't mean you can do it in any walk of life, in anything, in anywhere, wherever you are in your path of life, in your circumstance, but we are all going in the same direction to the same place. The way Vedanta says, now you know, Vedanta says that the easiest way is to see God in your chosen ideal. Now we all know what a chosen ideal is. It's a personification of the qualities of Godhead. It may be Jesus, it may be Buddha, it may be Krishna, it may be Mother Mary, it may be, you have to find one that you is an exemplar for you. I used to say when I moved into the convent, that is the only thing we have in common. We all want to find God. We don't even know individually what each other's chosen ideal is. And it doesn't matter, because that's a personal thing. The fact that we're all heading in the same direction to the same purpose is what matters. So, if we look at that past, as I say, the good, the bad, and the ugly, even the things that we are not proud of, I mean, there's no reason to brood over them. They're gone. They're past. They're over. And brooding on them just makes a very unhappy person. And brooding on them is also your ego taking a hold of not letting go. It's ego identification with the negative. And we don't want that. That does not lead us to God. Negativity is against all aspects of God. God is a positive force. And we must cultivate positivity and not hang on to our negative. Oh my God, I did that when I was 22 years old. We all did stupid things when we were 22. That's the time when you do them, right? You don't know any better, but you don't have to keep doing them. So, once we get on that, you identify God with your chosen ideal. That's the first step. And as you identify God with your chosen ideal, you get to know more and more about your chosen ideal. You study the life of that person or that whatever you've chosen, the person or the religion. And then you take it a step further. You look at the beyond, which is beyond that chosen ideal. The chosen ideal leads you to the beyond. Now in Vedanta we call the first step identifying God with your chosen ideal as dualism or bhakti yoga. In the second state, when you realize the beyond, something beyond your chosen ideal, something greater, this is what we call qualified non-dualism, where you are here, God is there, but there is something beyond everything, and it's that universal self. Then you hopefully move to the point where you can see God in everything. Every person that you meet, every single thing you see in the world, and at that point you have gotten to the beyond and are in non-dual Advaita Vedanta. But this is a very difficult state because we live in the world and we always have we have an attachment to it. As soon as people have that experience of absolutely non-dual experience, their bodies don't last. They say 26 days and that's it. Unless you're an incarnation of God. And you can come and go. But, you can also, the goal can be the practice where you practice seeing God in everything. You practice it, you make a conscious effort to, every time you walk down the street, try and see every person that you walk by as God. Man, whether they're homeless, whether they're well-dressed, whether they look funny. I mean, I grew up in the era of hippies, and I'm sure we looked really funny to the people of the 50s. But luckily, when we arrived here at Vedanta, everyone just took that. They actually made a practice of seeing the inner being rather than the outside covering. And that's what we have to do in order to realize God. We have to look at the inner being, the one that's perfect, always blissful, always, just always. Always has been, always will be, will never beginning, never ending, never ceasing. But this is why when I say that straight is the path, because this is a very difficult thing to do. It's something that most of us have to make a conscious decision to do this. And when you find yourself not doing it, you have to pull your mind back and say, we decided not to do that. That's not what we want, you and your mind. So, in every single thing that comes up, and this gets really difficult because so much of our stuff we do by rote or by habit, but we have to really evaluate, what choice am I going to do? Am I going to go to the Vedanta temple this morning on St. Patrick's Day, instead of going down to take a walk on the beach or a hike in the mountains. You make a conscious choice. Actually, you make them all day long. We're not aware of most of them. It's autopilot, which is what we are also trying to readjust. It's like we have a friend who's got a Tesla, and she discovered that it can drive itself. Okay. Now hers is not. So I was just told yesterday that now they have a thing where they can see your eyes are on the road. Well, she discovered with her Tesla that if you stuffed a certain amount of weight in a sock and hung it over the steering wheel, she could just do anything she wanted and didn't have to pay any attention. And we're all going, really? Isn't that really dangerous? But this is how some people think. And by the grace of God, nothing's happened to her yet. But we do make these choices. Her choice was, I always fall asleep at the wheel when I'm driving. And now I don't. So maybe she's got the reactions to react, but I don't know. I think it's scary. But as I say, every one of us, we believe, when I say see God in everyone, we call that the Atman, the inner divinity that is in your heart. And as I said, the mind is the bridge between the Atman and Satchidananda, the consciousness Brahman. It is only by your mind and your discrimination and your choices that you can cross that bridge. It doesn't automatically happen. Eventually it will, but eventually you'll reach the point when your discrimination kicks in. When we say eventually. We have many, many births, but none of us are going to miss the boat. It just may take us longer to get there. And all the paths that you choose, all the paths that we are able to choose from, have very specific ways of getting there. Most of them require constant remembrance of God, repeating the name of God, whatever your chosen ideal is. Constant repetition in the Catholic Church. Why do we have the Rosary and do the Hail Marys? These are things to keep your mind, to feed your mind with the thought of God. To feed it, to make it so that it becomes automatic. Why do we have japa in Vedanta? Why do we get mantras? Because they impart a power to control our minds, to focus our minds. And we need razor-sharp focus. One of our nuns once asked, many, many years ago, and she's no longer with us, she said, well, how do you walk the razor's edge? And Swami Swahananda said, put on shoes. But those shoes are discrimination. You put on the shoes of discrimination. You don't simply, you can, but even when you surrender, you have to use discrimination in your daily activities. Will this lead me to God? Will this lead me further away? Is this for instant gratification, or is it for the ultimate goal? Tiresome, really tiresome, but necessary. Am I becoming more unselfish? Because seeing God in everyone also means that you're lessening your ego, your attachment to your own desires and your own how you want everything to go. It lessens all of that when you start thinking of the other person before yourself, because that other person is God. Marriages are one of the best ways to cultivate that on one plane, because you start thinking, when you love someone, you want to do that, you want to take care of them, you want to do things for them. If you don't get married in the physical world, that's the relationship you can cultivate with your chosen ideal. I love you, so I want to do things for you. I want to think of you. I want to take care. Which is why Swami Vivekananda and Ramakrishna said, and Swami Vivekananda reiterated, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest path in this world, because everyone has loved someone or something, so you know how to love. And if you transfer that love to God, it's very, very quick and consuming, because your mind is taken up with your beloved. If it's a child, everyone has loved something or someone. Everything to keep constant remembrance, which is all they say, is the be-all and end-all of religion, is to everything you do, you think of God. You're doing it for God. You're doing it not for yourself, not for this little self. As I say, that's why the Bible says the path is straight and narrow. We've heard that you have to keep to the straight and narrow. Well, that's where it came from. It's a very tight thing to realize, so you can realize God. However, there will be distractions because we are in the world. You recognize those distractions, and if you can deify those, it's the tantric way is to deify everything that you see. Deify everything you see and do as an offering to God. So, and yeah, our Vedanta, we do a tantric worship where you establish the divinity within your heart to worship the divinity. So this is what basically everyone is. When you watch the pujas and things, this is what the pujari is doing. Becoming divine to worship the divine. Or recognizing the divinity within to do that. Okay. I think that's about it. We've had enough of such hardcore. Boy, everyone sit up and just do it. Just do it. Because that's all we really have to do. I remember when I first came, if we had that kind of yearning and if we had that kind of determination, you could have God realization today. But you have to have that firm, all-consuming yearning for God. That all-consuming yearning, not the one that says, well, I would like to go to the beach today and I can see God in the outdoors. That's true, and that's a huge step. But we could have God realization right now if we had that kind of yearning. But you have to cultivate it. You have to make it part of your life. And I think I will stop there. This is going to be a short lecture. And I'm going to end with a another prayer of St. Francis. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe, I believe, I believe above a storm. Smallest prayer can still be heard. I believe that someone in this great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I
Chayanti has my number. She sang a perfect song in the beginning about going down many paths, and now this one. So next week we will have our regular Wednesday reading of Swami Akhandananda, who was one of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna, and the first man to start the social service of the Ramakrishna order, which Ramakrishna order says for the good of mankind and for the good of oneself. That's at 5 o'clock in the temple, and 5 o'clock in the temple on Saturday, there will be a gospel reading for half an hour. You're welcome to come. And, just a second, I can't read what Jnana Yogananda's topic is. Next week will be Swami Jnana Yogananda he comes up from Trabuco, and he is going to speak on embrace change, which I think is really good because no use fighting it, it's going to happen anyway. So we may as well embrace it. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.